This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 21st of June, 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Let's take a look at today's headlines.
The team is back.
It is. Welcome back to M from, where were you again?
Kisumu Dala. They say hi.
No comment.
I was somewhere called Dunga Hill Beach.
All right.
Oh, fantastic place.
Daily Nation, the battle to save broke universities. The Standard, Jubilee crisis, MPs list 8 demands. And the Star, CS's plot to lock out RUTO from Central. Let's start with the Star.
Yeah.
Miss K, please remind us what our 3-point criteria is.
Yes, I will, because we are really going to toss this one so fast.
Yeah.
We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you or determine whether they're going to stay on this table or get tossed. And they are, is this headline topical or is it speculative? Is this headline repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
I feel like the Star today is living up to the name we give it as being a tabloid newspaper. This is such speculation. It's shameful.
If I was editor, I would have put the same headline, although it's speculative.
Really?
Yeah, it will sell.
But we know who you are in your DNA. Please toss it.
Thank you. All right.
Standard, Jubilee crisis, MPs list 8 demands. Speak to us, please.
Majority of these MPs were Gema MPs. But I have one word for them. If you guys saw Uhuru Kenyatta in Rivertex today, a place called Kapsaret in Rift Valley, those guys were so humble. They behaved like it was Parents' Day. Especially one guy called Oscar Sudi. Oscar Sudi knew his father was coming. He put on his best uniform. It was iron.
Please.
And the parent went to meet the teacher.
Yes.
And he was on his best behavior. You know, but the reason I'm saying they should learn a lesson is because they have been going at their boss, who is Uhuru Kenyatta. Yet, William Ruto was able to marshal his Rift Valley MPs and made them behave excellent.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they behave the same?
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't want to preempt the conversation because there's a juicy cartoon that
Absolutely.
I'm holding all my bets
Yes.
for.
Yes.
So what do we say about this headline?
I think it's a good story and not so good headline.
I agree.
Yeah.
Toss
I say we toss it. Oh, we're very efficient today.
Yeah.
The battle to save broke universities. We're on the loop. And this tells us that political news is coming to a fast end because we're getting into universities.
Yes, I told you it's not political, it's education. But anyway, we will address it. This CS, I like him, Magoha. But I think he's being a little bit reductionist. Look, the model of running public universities is very old. And you have a veterinary officer or surgeon being a CEO of a public university. And my point is this: you need to look at the business side of public universities, right? You cannot just focus on the brick and mortar side of things. At some point, you will fail. There's a business side of things. And I've told you before, we can be a hub in this East Africa of ours if we attract students from across Africa.
Yeah.
And
right?
if you split the functions, the educative functions and the business
business
functions
side,
of the universities.
Yeah, split them. Let veterinaries look at cats and mice. Let CEOs look at books.
Yes, and finances.
And
I completely agree.
Yeah.
But also I feel like sometimes the shutting down and merging of campuses does not talk about the viability or the importance of those courses. So I think we still have to have that broader question. As we say, the fact that I'm not applying to be in a particular field doesn't make that field redundant or useless. Are we looking at what we're shutting down versus what we actually need?
I think this is a broader issue in terms of the education system as a whole. We've talked about this before. If they are not letting students who have lower grades have access to university, of course there are going to be courses that they have no enrollment. So I think there's a broader education issue rather than just universities.
But the headline is catchy. The battle to save broke universities.
Yes.
Do we think it's a winning headline because it's not bad?
Nope. Toss it. All right.
On to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the cartoons for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is the cartoon satirical or is it pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or just plain lazy?
Kado.
I don't know, I'm not too sure about this one, guy. I think you should have done better.
Yeah, I agree.
But all the same, but before I analyze it, let me describe it.
Describe it, please.
It's a caricature of, do they call them pharaohs or pharaohs? You know, Kenyan, what? And
Egyptians, yes.
yes, and they're carrying, what is this? Carrying a ball or something. But context of this is African Cup of Nations happening in Egypt, starting tomorrow. I think the best I can say is good luck to Kenya.
Yeah.
I think it says exactly what it is. Africa Cup of Nations will happen in Egypt. Let's show you what we think when we think about Egypt. Let's show you a mummified person. Let's show you pharaohs with their totems, if I can call them that.
Yes.
And you guys, please.
Toss it.
Good luck to them.
This is terrible from Gadwa. Yeah.
Your favorite?
Ozone.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, caricature of a ringside Donald Trump. And he's ringside, and he's thrown his hat in the
Into the ring.
Into the ring. And the hat is labeled, "Make America Regret Again."
Oh my goodness, this is so bad. First of all, why did he have to write the comment and then have the hat in the ring?
Because we get that you've thrown your hat in the ring.
You don't need both of them. Just remove the comment altogether.
I think he's doing this on purpose too.
To irritate me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. I'm vexed.
It's not all about you. There's some Kenyans out there that need that explicit explanation. Tell me that I've thrown my hat in the ring.
Then we need to tell Kenyans to read books, because if this is the quality of our cartoons, I am worried. This is bad.
I'm starting to think that he may be a reflection of who we are as Kenyans. This is what we need. We need it spelled out
plain and clear.
Us. Yes.
Oh gosh. The only thing I do like is "Make America Regret Again." It's a little, yeah. That's it. No.
And now,
guys, be kinder.
Guys.
But okay, I have to say that this one was
this is the best cartoon.
Particularly.
But before we analyze it, let's describe it.
All right.
Caricature of, let me start from utmost left. Governor Sang of Nandi. Next to him, for the first time, he's not crying. William RUTO. He's telling people, shh. But right next to him is a girl. Should we say a girl?
A flower girl.
Okay, caricature of Kapsaret MP Oscar Sudi holding scissors.
Yeah.
Because
in the cutest
shoes. Flower girl dress.
And a dress. But he's about to say something, and that is why DP is saying shh. But the person who is walking towards the line.
Wait, you have to say what he's about to say.
Yeah.
You're coming back.
Yeah,
He's
coming back to that.
Okay.
Is a majestically walking Uhuru Kenyatta. But he's still fuming, huffing and puffing.
From last week.
You can still see his ears, And he's about to go and commission the new Rivertex factory. But Oscar Sudi says, "I feel like speaking my mind." And William RUTO is doing,
don't do it.
Because the guy has a loose style, he can say anything.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's such a fantastic cartoon.
Fantastic.
I love it.
But guys, as I told you earlier, Oscar Sudi and Rift Valley MPs were on their best behavior today.
Well, it shows the amount of control that William RUTO has and the understanding of politics and good politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to play a game, and we're going to play a subtle game.
Fantastic.
And this game is going to be so subtle, we're going to play you in our own court,
Yes.
in our own field,
Yes.
and you're going to walk out thinking, I won.
Yes.
And you're like, wait a minute. I don't think
What just
that
happened?
didn't go exactly how I thought it would.
But that's the work of a charmer, because I saw Uhuru Kenyatta laughing at what Oscar Sudi was saying. Now, if that was a Gema MP somewhere in Kasarani, probably had received a slap.
I think this is a good cartoon, and I think we had this discussion.
Yeah.
Currently, the reigning cartoon of the year is Gado's State of the Nation.
Yes.
And we would like to propose that this has now trumped it, and this is now the cartoon of the year.
I agree.
And I think that because you had such strong feelings about State of the Nation, I think that you should make that determination.
Oh yes.
Yeah?
The winning cartoon for the year.
The
for the
new
year is the one Oscar Sudi is wearing a dress. and the nice little yellow shoes. And he's sticking true to the cause, the colors of URP.
And And that is our winning headline, new cartoon of the year. Actually, winning cartoon, new cartoon of the year. What is our final thought?
Before I say it, someone stole my final thought and mimicked me.
Mwenye hayuko na lake halipo, haukuwepo lako halipo.
Huyu ndiye alifanya.
I apologize. Take it away. Show me how it's really done.
You promise me you'll not say it.
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to do it again?
Maybe.
And now, our final thought. Inspired by a book entitled, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. And guys, this lady, to me, is very inspiring, right?
Phenomenal.
Went through hell and managed to get to the depths of life, I mean, to the heights of life that probably nobody around her, you know,
expected,
her contemporaries got to. But one thing I got from this book is it's not just about the racism she received. Maya Angelou looked inside the African-American culture, right? And the biggest demon other than racism was dysfunctional families. Her traveling from Arkansas.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yes.
They cannot say Moranga.
They should explain to us the difference between Kansas and Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yes, right? Her traveling from her grandmother's house in Arkansas to California, right? To meet her parents. And the fact that at a very young age, I think at the age of 8, she was raped by her mother's lover, all right? And I saw her pain. She remained mute for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's because there was nobody to protect her at the point where she was very vulnerable. You know, and those are some of the demons that I took home. I don't know what you guys...
Yeah, so this book is actually an autobiography written in the form of fiction.
Yes.
So it takes the form of a novel almost.
Yeah.
So, yes, the title is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Yeah.
And she takes it from a line in her favorite poem called Sympathy by Paul Laurence Dubner. So in this poem, he explains the terrible experience of a bird being stuck inside a cage. So the bird flaps its wings and sings, but it's not doing this because it is happy, it's doing this because it is miserable.
Yes.
It is a poem about a lack of freedom or a prayer for freedom.
Yeah.
And so she entitles the book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, because in this book she's expressing the fact that she understands this desire for freedom.
Yeah.
So this book is part of a 7-part series that explores her life. And in this book, we go through the ages of 3 to 17.
Yeah.
So it is set in the American South in the 1930s and California in the 1940s, as you said.
Yeah.
So her parents divorce when she's 3 years old. So her and her brother are shipped off to live with her grandmother. And through this struggle, they have to deal with issues of abandonment and rejection.
Yes.
So she also finds herself tormented with the belief that she's ugly and that she will never live up to this idea of the timid and gentle white girl. So this is a lot like what Percola dealt with in The Bluest Eye.
Yes.
So she's shifted back and forth between her mother and her grandmother, where she eventually is raped, and she deals with issues of sexuality. And towards the end of the book, she has her first consensual sexual experience, and she becomes pregnant. And I would like to contrast this with The Bluest Eye, where we have Percola, who throughout the book remains the same person. In the beginning, she is stuck in the situation. She's unhappy. She wants to have blue eyes. In the middle, the exact same thing. At the end of the book, she convinces herself, she goes insane because she wants to continue to believe this ideal that she has for her life. But Maya Angelou, in her story, we see this story of empowerment. Yes, she starts out as a very sad girl. She has this awful rape experience, but by the end of the book, when she's giving birth to her son, she's empowered by it. And you know, we have to read the next book to find out where she is going next. And I think that's such a beautiful story and journey that she takes us through.
And I agree with you. There are a lot of similarities between Percola Breedlove and Maya Angelou. They have a similar history, a similar rejection. And when we talk about rejection, I found it very sad that Maya and her brother were put in a bus by themselves to go into the American South, and on their hands were tags that said, "To whom it may concern." They didn't even know where they were going.
They were just shipped off.
So, but I do ask this question. You do see those similarities. So both of them were rejected. Both of them had this intense desire to be white. And even Maya, like you can feel like Toni Morrison was looking at the history of Maya Angelou and putting that into The Bluest Eyes, because Maya did voice that desire, that rejection and that feeling that one day I will wake up from this dream that I'm living of being an African African, and I will have my real hair, which is long and blonde, and my real eyes, which are light blue and hypnotizing. And that is so sad that you think a kid can go through that. But you're very right in saying that at the end, they came out at very different places. And it makes you ask yourselves, what is it that is able to make a child who goes through such a situation come out or overcome the odds while another doesn't? And is there something that we can learn from Maya Angelou that Pecola didn't get, that then we can use to become, and I'm going to use an old book that we read, anti-fragile. If I can say that Maya Angelou was anti-fragile. She took on these experiences that she had and then came out for the better at the end of it. And from my reading of the book, I can pick two things that I think helped Maya. The first is something that I think is ubiquitous. It doesn't matter whether you're in African America or you're an African American or an African, and that is a grandmother, a strong, positive influence of a confident, social grandmother that you can look up to. And Maya Angelou had her in Mama. Mama was a black woman who wasn't fully educated, but who was independent, who had her own stores. She had some sort of financial independence, and she was respected in the community. She was respected in the church. She was also respected in, there's a story amongst white people that someone actually said, when they were accused of something, I hid in in her shop, and they were like, Mrs. Who? And a black woman shows up, and they accept that a black woman can have such authority. And the second, I think, is something ironic. She ran away from home at some point. And when she ran away from home, she lived with some vagabonds, and there was a sort of acceptance among them. Because in that vagabond experience, there were whites, there were Hispanics, there were all sorts of people, and she saw that they lived in what she called the brotherhood of man. And she finally saw there's actually no difference between me and a white person. So then, all races were equal and necessary parts of the world. And that's how she was able to rise up above this
her circumstance.
Let me ask you guys a question, and this is a very good point. You brought the grandmother issue. You know, when reading the Shosho issue, when reading this book, I thought that the white slave master, to get at the slave's heart, he had to target the family unit. And for you to be successful at that, you need to get rid of fatherhood. Now, going back to Shosho, because Shosho, there's something about Shosho that transcends from the time of slavery until now in the African American society. If you listen to rappers, 50 Cent, if you listen to Nipsey Hussle, for example, yes, I'm going there, you know, a lot of them do use their grandmothers. And as an example of the people that brought them up, do you guys think fatherhood, the white man targeted fatherhood in order to make the slave vulnerable?
I wouldn't say necessarily fatherhood, but I would say the family unit. Because you break down the family unit, you take people away from those who are meant to care for them, and you disrupt their lives. And that's exactly what we saw in this book with Maya Angelou. And I think if we were to tie up what we've learned this week, because we talked about a lot of things. So we talked up from slavery, Booker T, the Negro problem, MLK versus Malcolm X, the bluest eye, and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. All of these books present to us so many different opportunities and different paths for success.
That's very true.
Booker T says, you know, pursue education. But Du Bois says, no, let's send a few members of the community out so that they can come back and lift up the community. Malcolm X says, no, let's go for violence. But MLK says, no, the peaceful option is a good one. And with Pecola, we see Toni Morrison suggesting that sometimes people want to stew in their sadness. They don't want to find a way out.
Or perhaps they cannot.
Or maybe they cannot even. And then we have the opposite today with Maya Angelou, where she was able to find something within herself. So throughout this week, we found that there's so many multiple avenues to success, to get out of those circumstances that life has thrown you into. You're having a point.
Yes, it's passionate and it's deep in you.
You know, I want to draw parallels to what Maya Angelou said and what Malcolm X did and said as well. Agitation of armed means to deal with the whites that were discriminating against them. And Maya Angelou brings in the concept of reparations. And you had black conmen conning white conmen, right? She's saying it's all right as for the amount of hurt they have caused to us, right? That level of conning is okay. And I will quote her. She says, "We are the victims of the world's most comprehensive robbery. Life demands a balance. It's all right if we do a little robbing now." Right? Mkiiba tunaiba. That's exactly what she's saying. But that robbery, it's not just robbery. You're robbed of your dignity. You're robbed of your identity as a black, as an African American. You're robbed of your wealth.
You're robbed of your family.
You're robbed of your family. It's a total robbery. So what does a little $10 conning have to do? You know, it's not commensurate. You know, you robbed $10, you've robbed me of my identity, of my wealth, of my everything, right? But what Malcolm X says as well, armed means. And I learned later that Maya Angelou actually worked for Malcolm X. Malcolm X says, you revenge. If they come after you, you hit them back, and you hit them, you know, twice. I think the level of pain in these two people, Malcolm X and Maya Angelou, right, depicts the kind of heart that these guys had even by the time they were free.
Yeah, but I think it also depicts the different options that are available. So
too.
revenge might be the option that he pursued, but MLK pursued a different one, and we saw how well that worked in the civil rights movement.
Yes.
So I think it's just a matter of what path do you want to choose.
And you see those reparations, the white man, let me not say that, but President Barack Obama, in my view, was the reparations for the staff and the heart.
No, no, he was
I must
not.
stop you there because you cannot. Yes, from us too. I think we should gonga him as well because you cannot have such a statement. You cannot say that, and we will stop to him at this point.
Yes, we shall.
And say this is winning headlines. When we had no winning headline, but we had a replacement cartoon of the year to Victor Miller of the Daily Nation, bumping off the State of the Nation with yellow-feeted Oscar Sudi.
Yes,
I loved
and
it.
the dress wearing.
This week we took you through a journey, and it was a dark journey, and I agree it was very dark. But we looked at how slavery is from the experience of a person who was there during emancipation in Up From Slavery, Booker T. Washington. We looked at the differences in how to, we now are free. What do we do? This is what Booker T versus W.E.B. Du Bois. What should we do? Should we send our best, or should we work and, I don't know, use the silver lining that slavery gave us? Then we looked at the philosophies of MLK, Luther King Jr. versus the philosophies of Malcolm X. Same people, different time, same problem, still oppressed. Then we looked at what oppression does to the most vulnerable, the most delicate in society, the female child. And we saw that with Maya Angelou, even though Pakola was not able to rise above the system that had oppressed her and put her down, Maya Angelou was able to take it, see it, recognize her own failures and vulnerabilities, but in the end come out triumphant and hopeful. And I'll leave you with a quote that she says in her book. Anything that works against you can work for you once you understand the principle of reverse. Have a great weekend. See you next week.